These children have both mental and physical challenges because of fetal alcohol syndrome, and we're going to be doing work for them. This is my fourth time here in Lithuania and Latvia, and I have enjoyed every trip, but I have to honestly admit that the group I have this time is an awesome group. There isn't one person who hasn't stepped forward to volunteer to do something to make this a more exciting and fulfilling experience.
I'm returning to Latvia and Lithuania. I was there in 2011 and it was a life-changing experience. Looking for more of the same.
Coming on this trip initially because Lynn and I did a Sunday school class about the Hill Process. That opened up a whole thing about Lithuania, interest in our missionaries over there, which led us to this whole trip and everything involved with it. So I love working with children, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see the culture and communicate with people over there.
Came here because I thought it would be interesting to see two new countries and volunteer to help. Looking forward to the week, the work, the fellowship, definitely the food, and I'm already challenged by someone to go swimming. I hear it's very cold, so that may not happen.
This is my second time coming to Latvia and Lithuania, and I fell in love with the place last time and got to see that there was a real need for mission work here. And so had the opportunity to come back, and I'm really excited for it. I get to see new places, meet new people, and just try and lend my hands to them to make their lives a little bit better.
On our mission trip, meeting new people, exciting things, being flexible, and doing our mission work to do good work.
Sort of hesitant to come on this trip at first, but I hope I made the right decision.
This is my first time going to either Lithuania or Latvia. I'm really looking forward to experiencing the culture and meeting the people, and especially getting to know other members of our Presbytery.
My second mission trip here, being an example that everyone has hope. I think the younger people I've seen already on this trip in the last couple days seem to exemplify a future of hope. And we heard from one of the LCC staff that hope is probably the most valuable thing that we can offer them. So I hope we do just that.
This is my second trip to Lithuania and Latvia with the Presbytery in Pine Street. I went on the first trip in 2006. Happy to be back. The Lithuanians and Latvians are wonderful people, and we're thrilled to be able to be here with them and work with the church and work with the children in the children's home.
And I'm looking forward to most is probably experiencing a new culture in a similar surrounding place, but with a different group of people and a different culture.
No, I have not been to this part of the world before, to the Baltic area, but I'm excited about being here. I've been on work camp trips before, and I'm excited about being here and working with the kids. It appears to be in a rural area, and that's fine with me because that's the area where I live.
Becky and Eric Hinderleiter came to our church to speak, and after they had spoken during the worship service, we had found out that there was a trip coming to Lithuania and Latvia, and I just felt this calling that this was a trip that I was meant to come on.
I am looking forward to being with a large group, all working together to hopefully do some good in the world and leave some good memories behind and bring some home too.
I am here to help the children have some fun and maybe change some lives. And I've never done this before, but it's always been a dream. And I'm hoping to just make them smile.
I'm looking forward to this trip to Latvia and Lithuania. It's the longest mission trip I've ever been on, both in terms of distance and time. I've become very comfortable with mission trips to Central America, but I decided maybe I needed to stretch my wings and try something new, especially since so many other people from the Mechanicsburg Presbyterian Church decided to come on this trip.
Last year, when Greg and I heard that there would be a trip to the Baltics, returning after 3 years. Greg was very enthused about coming, and I was not quite so sure. But then I did hear that this was to serve children and giving us a different perspective on the work that might occur and be a part of our lives. So we both became enthused and looking forward to this trip for various reasons.
I was approached by a homeless kid who had kind of made that his job, to approach people that he thought he could get something from, whether it was money or work or whatever the case was, and just something told me to stop and listen to him. And so after a couple minutes of hearing his normal spiel that he does, and once I stood and listened to him and dug deeper, you know, he really opened up to me, and I got to find out what his story really was. And you know, by the end of it, I could tell that he really just needed somebody to listen. Yeah, he needed help in his life, but he felt alone. And very early on in the trip, it really just, it punched me. The worst thing that you can take from somebody is hope. That just kind of set the tone for me for the whole trip. And that mantra of hope just followed throughout the whole 2 weeks.
The devotions that we've had for the week, Kathy Wells and I did them this week and last week through the whole trip, and we decided that our devotions would center around traveling. So everything was a travel story that we did each day. We spent some days talking about what we learned, how we felt God in our trip. We sang songs, we read stories, we had poems.
Our church has supported the work of Eric and Becky Hinderleiter for a lot of years now, so we were anxious to see them on their own turf, to see the work they're doing at Lithuanian Christian College University International, and to just see what life is like for them, just to see Lithuanian Christian College and to hear more about the work of the college and their involvement there.
We just came from the Hill of Crosses today, which was a very inspiring place because it represented hundreds of thousands of people who were deported into Russia, never to return. And the crosses are there as symbols of remembrance for the people who were left behind.
These 2 crosses were made by Sunday school at Derry Presbyterian the Sunday before we came a week ago, and we're going to plant them here at the Hill of Crosses. I thought it was cool that all under the grass there are tons of crosses that you can't even see, but then when you get closer there are, so it's like even though you can't see them from afar, the whole ground is covered with crosses. So I thought I would put our crosses with these ones that are a little bit more hidden right under this tree. So if you ever come to the Hill of Crosses, look for the big tree, you might be able to find ours.
The cross that I'm leaving, the wood comes from Perry County, up at my family's cabin, which is part of the land that my dad grew up on. And so my senior high Sunday school class, then they came up with this simple idea for the cross. And so this is the cross that I'll be leaving here, not only because of the fact that it reminds me of things at home, but also because the senior high Sunday school class designed it.
This is a cross necklace that I got on one of my many, many trips to Honduras. When I was thinking of leaving a cross at the Hill of Crosses, I wanted it to be something that meant a little something to me. And so I selected this necklace. So I'm leaving a part of me and a part of Honduras here at the Hill of Crosses.
When I talked at the beginning of this trip about what I was expecting and what I was looking forward to, I think the Hill of Crosses was something that I really focused on. And the funny thing about this trip is that the Hill of Crosses has been a very small portion of it. The thing I wasn't expecting is what impacted me most,
which was the friendships that I've made with people with us from the Presbytery, but also with people in Lithuania and Latvia that I was able to come very close to in a very short amount of time. Some of the conversations I had with Giedra, one of our interpreters in Lithuania, we took a walk through the Jewish cemetery that we visited. It was like really old Jewish cemetery. And Giedra and I had a conversation about death and grief. Both of us were remarking on how different we were as American and Lithuanian, but at the same time, we were so similar and had so many similarities.
I would like to say thank you for your attention, thank you for your help, thank you for good example, amazing example, how to work for good and how to help each other, how to communicate, and but we can do amazing job if we work together.
The project at the church was more than we expected. It was a double wide brick wall with a covering, a concrete mortar covering over it, so it was quite a task, but we were determined and we got it done, and so the Scouts are going to be happy in Berger with their new meeting room.
This trip was originally designed from the very beginning to represent two different kinds of homes that are available in Lithuania and Latvia, and they are very distinctive, each one. In the Lithuanian home, the children there are primarily children who have been designated by the city, the municipality of Berger, to go to the home for their own safety and protection. It's much like a foster home because the homes in which they had lived were dysfunctional and the children were being abused or neglected. The home that we're in presently in Latvia is totally different. All of the children here are special needs children, most of them having suffered fetal alcohol syndrome problems with strong emotional and physical impairments. A number of the children here at this home will never be released into society because they are not functional on their own and they need the protection of the home where they're staying.
So in Lithuania, we had gone to a children's home where there were a couple different tasks that we were asked to do, and one of them was paint a stairwell, which was a Pepto-Bismol pink. We were thinking that she wanted a tannish, off-white color, and here she ended up choosing another pink. We got the whole stairwell done in about 1.5 to 2 days. Paint a second stairwell, which was a very dark purple. We painted that one the same light pink that we painted the Pepto-Bismol stairwell, and we finished that as well, and that one took 3 coats. But we finished on the very last day, last minute, and we also had some of the children help us painting, which helped out and cut down on our time, and that's how we were able to complete both stairwells in the week we were there.
We visited the home in Lithuania, and the director of that home is a woman named Daiva Janonion. Daiva is a former civil engineer who has taken on the directorate of the home because of her love and passion for children. We had budgeted a certain amount of money to go to the home for all the projects that we were doing. At the end of the week, we discovered that we were under budget. We had not spent all the money that had been assigned to that home, and so we gave Daiva an amount of 1,600 litas, roughly $850. And with that money, I just found out today, she went out and bought the largest refrigerator she could buy. Our group generously collected all of the surplus litas they had at the end of the week, and we collected 1,300 litas, which we gave to Daiva for her own personal use. When we gave her the money here at the home in Latvia, we were driving to the home, the children's home in Latvia, and I told her the purpose of that money was to be used for her own personal need. She was not to spend it on the children's home. And she had to pull off the road and because she was crying so badly, because nobody had ever given her a present in all of her life.
There was one kid in particular in Lithuania. His name was Modestus, and We sort of had a bond where he felt he could confide in me and talk about his life and his family. And I felt privileged that he trusted me enough to open up to me.
One of the crafts that we did here while in Latvia and then when we were in Lithuania was to tie-dye t-shirts. It's become one of our favorite crafts because not only is it fun to work with the children as we explain how they could have different designs and then watching them use all the colors, and sometimes so many colors that we ended up with more brown t-shirts than maybe the kids had thought about. But then everybody enjoyed, whether they were helping to tie-dye or not, everyone enjoyed once they saw them come out on the clothesline. So I think one of the great things about this craft is the fact that each one of these shirts in that design, and even if you're trying to plan what you want, come out totally different. And it also shows the individuality because every shirt, you cannot duplicate a shirt. So just as we are all individuals, here we have a project where we see all these separate individuals within the t-shirts.
Part of the activities we did with the kids was scrapbooking, and we did a carnival each week. And the first home we were in Lithuania, the kids mostly had emotional disabilities and some behavioral problems, and they loved the scrapbooking and were very thoughtful about how they did it. Carnival was a huge success as well. We had to do it indoors because it was raining that day, and so we were kind of all cramped in a small room, but it ended up being a lot of fun. We had games and music and dancing and tickets that they could turn in for prizes. Here in Latvia, the children have more special needs. There's at least 2 that are considered legally blind, some that are severely autistic, and there's one young man who can only speak a few words. So when we first got here, my first thought was, how are we going to do these crafts with some of these children? And we were really wrong. I was almost ashamed to feel that way. They did every single craft we put in front of them, and they did it. They put a lot of thought into what they were doing, and some of the crafts and things they sat for hours to do. The scrapbooking they loved again. Today we did the carnival. It's our last day here in Latvia, and again it was a huge success. We had games and prizes just like we did before. We actually made up the bags this time for them, and we danced. They loved to dance, and we danced and played games and had tattoos and face painting.
Just seeing the difference between the 2 homes and how the kids react and care for each other in each home is completely different, even though the 2 countries are so close. In Lithuania, the kids were more serious. You didn't hear too much laughing going on in the house. Smiling was rare. And then we came to Latvia, and the kids were all smiles. There was laughter filling the air every day. That stems from the caretakers, and both women who care for these homes were wonderful people. They are wonderful people. God is doing great things with them. There are different ways of interacting with the kids impacts how the kids then treat each other and treat the environment around them. And just being able to compare these 2 homes has certainly impacted my life in seeing what else is out there in the world.
Working at Zvaniki home, which we see in the background. They're all together lovely people, and I'm so privileged to work together with this mission group and with the children and grown-ups at Zvaniki home. And all my expectations and wildest hopes have definitely been met, because these people here are just great. They're so open to new things. I know it's very different to what people experience at the home, and learning so much and discovering new things about themselves and growing as people. What I love here about this home and this place and the work people are doing at Zvaniki is that this is something completely different. a different way how to take care of children that don't have family of their own. This is not an orphanage. This is not a public institution. This really is a family. They have more than 20 children here, but they're calling Joris and Sandra their mom and their dad, every single one of them. At an institution, you have to leave it when you're 18. You're kicked out there in the cold world. These children, they move on with their lives. They go to university, get a job, move on, move to bigger cities and so on. But they always know they have this one place, their mom, their dad, Joris and Sandra, they can come back to. And that's something that just really warms my heart and makes me want to cry, how beautiful it is. I really admire these people for the work they're doing, and I can't imagine how hard it is. I couldn't even do a half of what they're doing.
It's been wonderful to have the guests from several congregations. Someone asked me to make 3 wishes, and I sort of make 3 wishes, then suddenly 25 wonderful spirits appear, fairies out of nowhere. Also something very practical. We have a chicken coop that will now give us tons of eggs and a place for one of our cows, which we milk.
Kristīgi cilvēki man sapratīs, ka ģimene ir tradicionāli izpratnē ir šaurs jēdziens. Un mums kristiešiem ir brīnišķīgs vārds draudze. Un es domāju, ka mēs esam izgājuši no vienas ģimenes robežām un mēs esam zvanieku draudzē. Pirmskristiešu izpratnē, ka mēs visi dzīvojam kopā un viens otru balstam un mācamies būt par cilvēkiem. Jo katrs bērns, kas ir šeit, vienalga kādas viņam ir grūtības, katrs jaunietis ir liela dāvana. Un tā mūsu izpratne par to, ka katrs cilvēks ir tik ļoti, ļoti Dieva gribēts un mīlēts, ka mēs šeit varam tikai mācīties un tuvoties tai Dieva mīlestībai, ko viņš ir ielicis šajā pasaulē un, protams, arī šajā vietā. Bez Dieva klātbūtnes tas nebūtu iespējams, un to mēs izjūtam katru. Arī šajā apstāklī, ka pie mums šobrīd ciemojās tik brīnišķīgu volunteeru grupa no Amerikas, kas atkal mums apliecina to, cik faktiski visi mēs esam tik ļoti tuvu vienalga, ka tas ir Latvija un Amerika, bet ka cik skaisti, ka var cilvēks ar cilvēku satikties kopīgā darbā un kopīgā misijā. Tā.
Jāņi is a celebration of summer solstice, which is widely celebrated in Latvia, but it's not so popular in other Baltic countries or in Europe, even though it was celebrated throughout Europe in the Middle Ages. Nowadays, Latvians celebrate Jāņi, or Līgo Day, on the 23rd of June and the 24th of June. On this day, we have the shortest night in the whole year, and we celebrate that by staying up all night long, singing, dancing, lighting bonfires, eating special Jāņi cheese, drinking a lot of beer, singing traditional folk songs, which we have thousands of, specially made for this one day, Jāņi and Līgo Day. The 23rd is called Līgo Day. We spend the night celebrating and not sleeping. The next day is Jāņi Day, when we kind of try to relax from this all celebration, and which is also a public state holiday.
We spent yesterday, June 23rd, helping the children at the family home get ready for Jāņi. One of the women from the home, a young lady named Liga, took us all together flowers, and that was a lot of fun. She must have had about 12 or 15 kids following her. Some were on bikes, some were on foot, They were all ages. They just went all over the place. Then in the afternoon, they showed us how to make wreaths with flowers and with oak leaves. Some of us were more successful than others, but the kids seemed to enjoy that again, the ones that worked on it, and the ones that did enjoy wearing other people's wreaths.
But yeah, yesterday and today at the children's home, we were able to spend some time with them on their holiday, which is kind of it's a strange thing for us because we don't really celebrate that in the States. But for them, it's a really big deal. I mean, it is their biggest holiday here. And to be able to hang out with them as they're honoring their traditions was really cool, you know, from the food we ate to the things that we drank, like even a cheese that you can buy in the stores all year round, and people usually don't eat it except for this particular day.
So we took off for Sigulda, and at Sigulda we visited the castle of Sigulda.
And we enjoyed walking through the grounds that had wonderful, somewhat simplistic granite statues on the grass, and enjoyed going through that. And shortly after exploring that, we walked to the tower of the castle.
And then we set off for a gondola ride in the area. And
they came to what they called the Manor House Castle, but it had been used and then condemned by the Russians.
This week, everyone's seen an amazing transition Ivar's been going through. So far, he's one of the oldest inhabitants here, and he is mentally challenged. And he's always been the one that likes physical work. He's very into his own world. He always preferred to be around men, and his favorite work was to stack wood, and he really loves that. But this week, everyone was surprised to see him being here at the workshop, doing handicraft. It was something that all Zvanega inhabitants were really, really surprised over. It's unbelievable. Everyone's really excited about it, and it maybe shows that something new skills are developing in his mind, or maybe he just feels very, very comfortable with the people around here. In the first day, many of the mission ladies helped him to stack wood here, so they work together, and so maybe he experienced that they can help him, and he started trusting them, and therefore he was willing also to give it a try with the handicrafts. Well, whatever it is, it's great.
Seeing Ivas open up, he went from just cutting wood to using crayons, making a paper chain, and participating in everything we did. He was a big boy, but he had a great heart too.
When I call him little, but he wasn't. When a boy would come up to me and tease me about picking up wood, I won't ever forget that image.
And Liga, one of the assistants that is at our children's facility, said, okay, come along and help me with some gardening. I said, great, I'd love to do some weeding. And she said, weeding? What is the term weeding? Is that what you Americans call weeding? She said, smoking weeding? And I said, oh my gosh, no, gardening weeding. So we continued to have our day of pulling weeds in the garden and not actually smoking weeding.
We're here in Latvia building a chicken house for chickens, turkeys, peacocks, and guinea hens, and a cow. And we're using air block. It doesn't use much of a mortar. It's very thin. And so we can make a fair amount of progress in a reasonable amount of time, being amateurs. We're going to build 7 blocks high. The plan has changed radically many times, but I think now we're at the point where the plan can't change because we've determined where the windows and doors are going to be.
I've been reminded on this trip of a story that we heard in church a few years ago.
It's about a little girl walking along the beach with hundreds of starfish that had gotten washed up on the beach, and she's picking them up one by one, throwing them back in the water. And a man walks by and says, "Why are you doing that? There are so many, you can't possibly make a difference." She just looks at him, picks up another starfish, throws it in the water, and says, "Made a difference to that one." And that's how I feel about this trip. We didn't reach or touch every single person here, every single child. We didn't finish every job as completely as we wanted to do for various reasons. But I think each and every one of us made a difference in somebody's life. And maybe we won't even ever know what that difference was.
These 2 weeks in the Baltic states were really interesting. I've never been here. I've never known what to expect up here. It was fun doing the work and working with the people who were deciding. I really didn't work with the bosses, but I worked with their underlings who had a garage or a shop and had a welder and could repair things, and it was fun working with them and repairing things. And getting to know all of our central Pennsylvania Presbyterians from many different churches.
Okay, if I think back on this past 2 weeks, of course there are friendships and missions and gardens and weeding and projects, but I think one of the most important really to me is my family heritage. I have Lithuanian connection on my father's side, so part of my week was to learn culturally a little bit, and our translators were rich in knowledge to share a lot of that information. So 2 experiences that I thought were really important and deep for me. One was the Hill of Crosses, and found that my grandmother grew up in a village in that area, which made it very special and moving. And then on that Friday evening we had a true Lithuanian picnic, which reminded me of our church picnics, complete with celebrations and food and dancing and singing, and I was able to take in the whole experience.
It's been a great experience for me. I've never done this kind of thing before, and really made me stop and think. I did a lot of thinking this week about these children, and yeah, things aren't perfectly the way I think they should be, but this is what God has chosen for them.
We had a lot of goals at the beginning, and we didn't really know how to reach those goals. We were just kind of, in some cases, winging it, and we were optimistic, and by the end of it we really accomplished a lot. Besides just building projects, we've really made a lot of connections with people that I was kind of expecting some of that would happen, but you don't really know what to expect, and it was a very nice surprise. Some of the people that I've met I know that I'll be able to keep in contact with them forever, really. It felt really good to get our projects done. It was a good sense of accomplishment, but even if we hadn't gotten it done, just being here with them, that was a huge reward in itself.
You might have some expectations, but you really, really, these expectations aren't going to be what you would think would turn out. And especially this past Sunday, as we worshiped and shared communion at the children's home with the family and in their parish, that I realized that really, as we are all God's children, that we share in this. So it's a different experience. This one has been a totally different trip because it has been working with kids, children of all ages, from infants to teenagers. I believe that really this week, working with the children here at the home, they radiate such love. And here we have many more children that have disabilities of some kind.
These past 2 weeks in Lithuania and Latvia have certainly been eye-opening, to say the least. I have been on many mission trips before, but I don't think any of them have really compared to what I've experienced here.
Well, I think this was an interesting combination of children and work camp, and I really enjoyed it. Most of all, as we were driving to places, I enjoyed looking at the sky and all the clouds in the sky. I really enjoyed seeing the scenery here. It's been a lot of fun. A lot of us caught a cold, but I guess it's because we worked around the children, and we really had a great time. It was fun to be with all the youth, the young people who have been at Chrysalin and so on.
Getting to know new friends and traveling partners. We have built close relationships as I would have expected, but there's been a wide age group on this trip, and it's made a lot of fun to get to know everyone for them, and it gives me hope to know that these children are well taken care of and have a future to look forward to, and that many people are caring for them.
The bonds we've made, just everyone in this group, we've gone from complete strangers to very close friends and almost like a family, which is crazy because this is like 21, 22 people who come from all walks of life and like huge age range, and we've all come together and worked together and laughed together and ate mysterious foods together. So I've definitely made the right decision by coming here, and I'm so happy I did, and I hope I can come again.
The thing I'll take away from this is not to prejudge. I came in thinking, you know, maybe these kids couldn't do it, and I feel privileged to have been here this week and shared this time with them.
I think the aha moment came to me when I came to Latvia and I saw the little wood boy. And then I reflected on all the children that I had seen and been near, the babies that I'd seen in Lithuania, the young little girls who helped me put up drapes. And I thought, I too am a child. I am a child of God. And I am no better, no worse than they are. I just have had different opportunities.
It's been a very different mission trip from most I have been on. Usually I go on building mission trips, which I happen to love, but this one was a working with children mission trip. And I have really enjoyed getting to know the children in two different locations, one in Lithuania and one in Latvia.
My favorite part about this trip is the group cohesion, and not only like with the group we traveled with, but within the kids in both places we stayed in.
On this trip, I have met so many new friends. That's been one of the greatest pluses for me. And hopefully we can keep in touch over time. I love the countryside in both Lithuania and Latvia. I enjoyed the children's home in Lithuania immensely. I learned a lot about the children in terms of a little bit of love. Really goes a long way with the children.
Well, initially we always, or at least I always approach a mission trip as going out into the world to touch the world. And as it always ends, the places I go, the people I meet, and the friends I make touch me more than I think I touched them.
I've had a number of groups come to Lithuania and Latvia in the past, and I have to honestly say that I feel blessed. I've had such a wonderful, compatible group. There's been no individual conflicts, there's been no prima donnas, there's been no person who tried to take control and do things their way. Everybody has worked in a very humble way, doing it the way our hosts have wanted things done. And as I say, I am blessed to have led this group and to have experienced with them all the wonderful things that have occurred in both of the homes. We've met wonderful children who are loving, who will wrap their arms around your leg and not let you go, or take you by the hand and just want to hold your hand for a while. And you know, the adults with whom we've worked have been compassionate and understanding of us poor Americans who don't know the culture or the way things are done here. But the bottom line is, I think when we walk away, we will have gained much more than they have gained. I think our spiritual journey has successfully been completed, and hopefully will be ongoing in the future as we learn new things about ourselves and about other people.
I think the impression that I got from U.S.A. was his comment that in all the 12 years that they've been running the children's home, the family, with 20 or more children, only one parent in all that time called once to ask about their child. And I think that has moved me, that there are so many children that are in that situation, unloved until they got to a home like they're in now, and have food and care, and that we were able to do something for them, for the whole. So I think it's been a successful trip, and I'm glad I came.
Oh, that was it's been a good trip. It's been emotionally, mentally, and physically exhausting, but it's been good. I mean, it's, you know, we've used every part of us, and that's how it should be on a mission trip.